The 6000 series is rack-mounted control equipment that delivers video content and graphics to Daktronics LED displays. Both the DI and the VP have a flexible form factor design with components that can be arranged in various configurations. In this training, we will be looking at the Update section of the configuration menu, specifically the options of controller, display, and restore points. The Update setting may be accessed by either clicking on the firmware tile of the dashboard or by clicking on the user icon in the top right and selecting Updates. When a new release is made public, customers have the option of updating the controller or computer of their display to bring it to the latest greatest version available. Customers may choose to update firmware when a new feature has been released that they want to use, or possibly a bug fix is included in the release. Typically, updating the controller is done by a Daktronics technician, either by remoting onto the 6000 computer and file transferring the firmware to the computer desktop, or on-site using a flash drive to transfer the firmware. This short video will give you an idea of what to expect. This example is using a remote access program to file transfer the firmware. The remote access program is secure and will be completely removed from your computer after the technician ends the session with you. You can find the current version of control firmware by looking at the firmware tile on your dashboard. This is version 20.2 and will be updating to version 21. After verifying the current version, the technician will begin the transfer of firmware from Daktronics to your computer. The length of time to do this has been sped up for this demonstration. Once the transfer is complete, we are ready to update the controller firmware. Clicking the Update button and then browsing to the location of the firmware on your desktop, or if done on site on the flash drive, and the install begins. This will reboot your display during the update process for a brief period. Once the update is completed, we can verify the current version again in this list or by going back to the dashboard firmware tile. Display updates occur when using the bootload display. This type of update will update PLRs, mods, etc. with new or old firmware versions. Similar to updating the controller, a separate firmware file can be used by a technician to update the display. Just like the controller, these updates are done to add new features, bug fixes, or just to improve usability in general. It is not necessary to update both at the same time if everything is working fine. Restore points restore the firmware and configuration to that point in time in which it was created, like a snapshot in time when everything is working great. Anytime your system is running correctly, like after season checks, you should create a restore point so if something happens during your season, you have a known good point in time for you to go back to, just like a time machine. The system automatically creates and saves a restore point just before updating the controller firmware. This automatically created restore point cannot be deleted or renamed. In our earlier example of updating firmware, I can see in the restore point section that a restore point for my old version 20.2 was created. Any changes made to the system since the last saved restore point are lost when restore is selected. Daktronics customers wanting more information on the 6000 series may search our online knowledge base at www.daktronics.com/support. In the search bar, enter 6000 plus the feature you want more information on and click the search button.